Tradition 1, our common welfare, depends on NA, I'm going to say this loud, unity.
What?
Unity. Or like Queen Latifah said, unity. Remember that note? Yeah. Our speakers traveled from D.C. I'm back. And with that, I'm going to give you Daryl.
My name is Daryl. First of all, I'd like to thank the Bottom Line Group and those people who reached out to me to ask me to share my experience, strength, and hope. I was here 2 weeks ago speaking at someone's anniversary, and I met a lot of people. And as I get into my story, I have a relationship with this part of Pennsylvania. Just some of the challenges in my recovery have occurred to me while I was traveling through and in different phases of what I've been going through. The topic I've been given, Tradition 1, personal recovery depends on NA unity. I want to kind of do this in reverse. My sponsor told me not to get in my head because, intellectual motherfuckers will get up here and try to teach you all something. I will define things and articulate and pontificate and explain to you how this philosophy works. So he actually told me, close the book and don't read anything. He said, pray before you get started. And whatever comes out, whether you share on the topic or not, that's what God intended for you to do. And for me, that is what Tradition 1 is about. Predecessors setting a safe place for people to share what's going on with them. If you all did not follow the rules and traditions to create a space that was safe for you to tell your stories and to share your experience, I would not have any personal recovery because I was the addict who came into Narcotics Anonymous and sat in the back and analyzed and picked apart every goddamn thing you said because you weren't saying it right. If you split a verb and ended the sentence with a preposition, I was the addict who was correcting the grammar in the book because it just wasn't the way I needed it to be in order for me to understand. My first NA meeting was 1990 in Harlem, New York. It was at St. Mark's Baptist Church. There were 700 people in there smoking cigarettes, talking about what was going on with them. And at halftime, I asked the secretary for the pen, and she asked me if I was getting some numbers. And I said, no, I was on step 8. Because while I was in the meeting listening to people share, I realized, I got a problem, and I need somebody to help me with it. I can't do nothing about it. My 4th step was I'm fucked up. I looked at the person next to me and said, hey, I'm fucked up. And I realized I had some character defects that were fucked up, and I wanted God to help me not be fucked up. So I needed to write down everybody I needed to call after the meeting so I could say I was sorry. But I heard someone talk about earlier, this is a program of application. It's not a test that I can tell you what the answer says, what the book says. The reason I came into recovery in 1990 and only have 6 years is because I thought I was just a little bit smarter than most motherfuckers that I ran into. And this is not a program of how intelligent you are. This is a program of application in which you got to learn and follow some suggestions that were given by some people who were here before you. So, with that being said, because of what you went through, I can now share my personal recovery story. And the thing I always preface is I've come to believe through step work that the only reason I'm able to surmount daily obstacles is because of your experience, your strength, and your hope. And I don't stop there. I learn from your pain, your frustrations, your failure, your insecurities, your fears, all the shit that you share in the meeting is the solution to anything that's going to happen to me. And when I share my story, you'll understand what I'm saying. God chose us. Anything that anyone in this room will ever go through in your life or your addiction or your recovery has already happened to somebody in this room clean. So the excuses have been eliminated. All you need to do is don't make the mistake I made as a newcomer and sit in the back and judge somebody else's recovery, pick apart somebody else's story when the girl with 26 years clean is telling you about how the car accident she has Percocet. I'm looking at that bitch used and she's talking about she got Percocet. When the motherfucker's talking about having troubles on his job, I said, well, I thought you had 2 degrees. He must have went to one of them online universities. It's easy to talk about somebody else's issue until it's your turn. Stay clean long enough. Get old and some shit is going to happen to you. And then you're going to be like I was. What was that you saying about her pain when I had to take some damn medicine? What was she saying about it? So, what I want to talk about, I want to tell you my personal recovery story as Tradition 1, and you made it safe for me to feel comfortable. So I'm going to tell you my story. And because I came down here with 8 people from D.C., I can't lie, I can't fabricate, because they're going to stand and say, get you lying. And that was part of my story. Part of my stories, wanted to be accepted so bad, I would tell you what you feel you needed to hear just so I could be accepted. That's who I am. I'm that insecure person who wanted everybody to like me, but I was the one who acted like I was better than shit. You broke, ignorant motherfucker. I don't need you anyway. Turn my head up, then wonder why nobody wanted to speak to me. That was who I was. I just wanted to be accepted. What I need to let you all know is, the longer I stay clean, the more step work I do, the more I share with my network, the more I learn about the process of who I am, I come to realize the problem with me never was about alcohol or about drugs or the other things that I did. It wasn't about fucking or sucking or shopping or gambling. The core of my disease has always been my thinking. I was born with a thinking deficiency that allows me to process things incorrectly, then I catch a feeling, and then I act out, and then that action causes pain to myself or somebody else. What I'm talking about is shit that happened to me 20 years before I knew what alcohol was. So when I talk about my addiction, I need to tell you about my mother. My mother was an English teacher, and in my house we had to speak correctly. We conjugated sentences correctly. Verbs were used correctly. You don't end sentences with prepositions, and if you do, she would slap your hand, and she would say, now say it correct. That is how I was raised. That is what I was taught. So when I got to first grade in D.C. public school systems in 1971, y'all motherfuckers wasn't speaking correctly. So I went through the hall slapping people to say it correct. Conjugate it correctly. Don't end that sentence with a preposition. And I ended up in the principal's office. And I didn't understand. Because this is what my mother taught me. Mothers don't lie to your children. You're supposed to speak correctly. I have not broken any rules. These motherfuckers are splitting verbs. You done split 2 verbs. My mother's gonna slap the shit out of you, and I'm gonna be vindicated. My mother came up to John Burroughs Elementary School and whooped my ass from one end of Monroe Street to the other, and I could not understand it because I had done nothing wrong. I was embarrassed. I was humiliated. All I wanted was people to like me, and that was not the case. So the second day of school, my thinking said, don't nobody like your ass. Everybody likes your sister. I had a sister who was a year older than me. Everybody loves her. So my thinking came up with a plan. When recess came, and for those of you who are younger than me, recess, when they rang the bell, you went outside and played, you got there and got tired and came back in with sleep. So recess came, and this was the thing, to be so intelligent, I didn't notice all the boys went on the hill to play basketball. But I saw my sister over there jumping rope, and I ran over there and pushed her aside and started double dutching to show everybody I could double dutch. I hopscotched and came down on one foot. They were doing jacks. They were doing twosies and threesies. I was doing 60s and 70s. And what I wanted people to know is how fierce I was because I wanted some attention. And that was the first time I heard the word faggot and punk and sissy, and I was devastated. Because my thinking said, well, this bitch can't do anything. And I'm doing everything, and I'm doing it well, and nobody likes me, and I just wanted people to like me. The third day of school, I made a conscious decision. It's funny how the steps are in my life, and when you live in the Pharisee, they come out in the Pharisee. I made a decision to go across the street. And if you grew up in D.C., there's always an ice cream truck across the street. And my parents told me, don't go to the ice cream truck. But I was going to eat to my feelings because y'all motherfuckers didn't like me anyway. So I pulled out my money, and my life changed because all y'all eyes got big, and I realized y'all some broke motherfuckers. I had $5 worth of allowance, and everybody's eyes got big. And intuitively, you got Boston baked beans, you got Alexander the Great, you got Lemonhead, you got the watermelon annihilator, you got the red, white, and blue push-up atomic bomb, you got the bubblicious. I'm talking about I bought people shit, and they asked me what my name was. I said, my name is Daryl. I felt it, the acceptance, the popularity, and then I ran out of money, didn't have no money to give myself nothing, and that thing said, that faggot ain't got no more money, and they laughed and went on about their business. And you talking about an emptiness in the pit of my stomach. And I held that feeling all day, and I went home and I told my father, the kids laughed at me because I didn't have enough money to eat lunch. And my father, being the arrogant man, he was, oh, you're never like my son, here's $10. And I went to the ice cream truck the next day, and I'm talking about tucking money down. So when you laughed and I pulled out my $5, the same guy that called me a faggot, hey, what's your name again? I said, I sit next to you in the homeroom. And I got that attention. And What I'm talking about is behavior 25 years before I walked into a crack house with $1,000 in my pocket and y'all told me Tuesday morning to get out because y'all was going to Sunday school.
Right.
I'm talking about the same goddamn behavior in the ice cream truck, manipulating people's money, trying to get high off a good feeling, not learning my lesson, coming back to spending 10, 15, 20, $30 in the ice cream truck, trying to make you act different. And that's before I knew what alcohol and drugs was. My addiction was in my thinking at 5 years old. I thought a better way to kill a feeling, and I ended up hurting myself, and in the past, I hurt everybody around me. It didn't stop at the ice cream truck. I was that child who was not afraid to go to the chalkboard. Y'all can call me, I'll say it. I know the alphabet. I know the Greek alphabet. I know the quadratic formula. Y equals I was in the B, and minus the square root of 4. I could write all of that shit on the board. I was the one who stood up in church. I could say the books of the Bible. I could say them backwards. I wasn't afraid. So I became that person. I'll do your homework.
Yeah.
Y'all got to go to football practice? I can write out your math stuff. And soon it became a way to buy acceptance to be like, oh, get that bitch, you're going to do it anyway. And y'all still went on about your business. I didn't learn from doing your work like I didn't learn from the ice cream truck. And as that need for attention and acceptance grew, that sickness ruined my whole high school experience because I could do it. I could run for class president. I was going to win the elections. I'm smarter, faster, talk better. I could do that. I was arrogant. I was conceited. But it was all falsely wanting acceptance and being afraid you wouldn't accept me, so acting like it didn't matter, but it did. So I pretended to walk down the hallway and not hear you call me faggot and punk and bitch behind my back on a backward turn. I could pretend not to hear anything. But it didn't stop me from seeking every class I could get. My senior superlatives, there was no more space in the yearbook. I'm talking about editor of the yearbook, editor of the newspaper, corps commander of ROTC on the football team. I was in the math team. I was chess club, science club, any kind of club there was. I was not only in it, I had to be in charge of it, the chairperson, the leader. Because that need to be accepted. If I walked into the room and everybody hugged me and the one over here is rolling his eyes, what the fuck is what can I do to him? My waking mission, I got to make him like me. That obsession and compulsion just to be liked was intuitively in me. And it did not go away when I got to college. I thought I could reinvent myself. I left D.C. and the little things you whispered behind my back. I went to a city where nobody knew me. I was at an all-male college in Atlanta, Georgia, where I got a chance to invent myself, to pretend to be somebody cool. What I did not know is you carry yourself with you wherever you go. And no matter what I thought, my thinking said, people could see who I was. And I remember when I went to my 30-year reunion, and someone said, when did you come out the closet? I said, what are you talking about? She said, well, everybody knew that you were gay, but we came to a realization that you didn't know, so we just pretended to believe those pictures with your girlfriends and, this is your baby mama. And I was like, what the fuck was the hell? People can see who you were, but I'm talking about when you can't accept yourself, then you put yourself through all the bullshit and then wonder what's wrong with y'all. But I never once looked at my thinking because I was so much smarter than you motherfuckers, it couldn't possibly be me. I'm in Atlanta, and the shit starts all over again. Everybody starts talking about happy hour. Yeah, you go to happy hour? Man, I saw you at happy hour. Girl, you was at happy hour. I don't know happy. I don't know where the hour is. Nobody invited me, and I'm feeling left out. So I found out there was a place in Atlanta called Fat Tuesdays. It was a daiquiri bar. 3 walls of Slurpees with alcohol in them. 4th wall was a floor-to-ceiling aquarium, and it was the spot to be. Everybody on Friday was at happy hour. So I made the happy hour. I had 3 Slurpees, and I could handle that. It was sweet. It was cool, and all of a sudden, I didn't care what you thought about me. I went over and asked the girl to dance. It was Cabbage Patch was out there. I felt amazing. And the next day, I got up, and I could not wait to get back to happy hour because I had found some place where I fit in. And didn't pay attention to the fact nobody was speaking to me on campus. So when I asked somebody, what's going on, y'all going to happy hour? And they said, there's no more happy hour. Don't you remember what happened last night? And I remember the Cabbage Patch. I remember having fun and everybody was laughing and we had a good time. And someone told me that I climbed to the top of the riser where the aquarium was, and I was doing the Cabbage Patch, and I fell in, and they could not get me out, so the fire department came with the axe and smashed the aquarium, which flooded the tub, and this was the only place the freshmen could walk to without cars, so wasn't nobody fucking with me on campus, because I was the man who done fucked up happy hour. And there went my attempt to get some acceptance and to be okay anonymously was fucked up by my actions. So, what happened is life continued to progress. Drinking, I never thought I had a problem with drinking until I want to fast it. I need to get to the meat of the story. So I left school, graduated, came back to DC. I was working at an insurance company, and I met a set of gay guys out of Philadelphia. I did not know what boosting and pushing paper and conjure. I didn't know what any of that was. What I knew was a group of cool gay people who wore fur coats and rings that were tacky, but they took an interest in me. And it felt good to have someone take an interest in you. I was working at an insurance company, and I got up with the conjure. They said, all we need you to do, you got the straight job. You just, tell us what you do. I walked them through the process. So I started being a part of this illegal fraudulent ring where I was putting people in car accidents who weren't in the car and writing checks to everybody in the room, saying y'all was on the bus when the car hit the bus, and writing everybody checks. And, I was pretty smart. So after the checks cleared and the files were closed in the archive, I would go to the archives after hours, take the file and burn it so there was no paper trail. Because I was just a little bit smarter than most people. The insurance company, what I did not know is the special investigative unit of the insurance company, anytime you write a check on someone's account, 3 months later, they send you a check and say, all those people you hit on the bus were properly paid. Is there any more damage? And you're saying there was no bus I hit. What are you talking about? So at some point, the marshals from the Federal Treasury and the FBI came up to the job, and I was a cool motherfucker, so they called me in. I knew there was no evidence, there was no paper trail, and they were asking me all these questions. Of course, I was prepared for them. And finally, that man said, I'm tired of this bullshit. He said, the train is getting ready to leave the station. This is your last chance to get on it. He opened up a photo album, and I saw all the people that I knew. He said, this person's been arrested, this person's been arrested, this person's been arrested, this person's been arrested, and I instantly went, they killed me. They were gonna kill me. For someone so smart, the one thing I did not know is when I went before the grand jury, there was a meeting I had with the black prosecutor who said, you have the right to an attorney. And I said, well, do you think I need an attorney? He said, Mr. Wright, I can advise you that you have the right to an attorney. Would you like an attorney? I said, well, if you were me, would you get an attorney? He was like, I'm not here to help you. I'm here to hurt you. But you can have an attorney if you want to. And I said, well, if you weren't here to hurt me, would you ask for an attorney if it were you? And that man did everything but tell me get an attorney and shut up. But I thought because I was so smart, I could have an explanation of why my fingerprints were on checks that I didn't work on in the company. I thought I could answer all that shit away. And the result of that was 41 count indictment on forgery, utterance, larceny, and some other shit. And one night, my friends were like, you're going to jail tomorrow. And they thought, we're going to make sure we take care of you. So go ahead, let's try this. I said, I don't want to do that shit. That shit makes me crazy. No. He said, no, go ahead and do this shit. This ain't nothing. He said, then the girl said, hold it, baby. Come back. Take a deep breath, let it out. Now pull. Stop. Pull. Now hold. Let it out, go. Suck it back in. Blow it out your nose. Suck it in. Hold it. Now let it out. The room tilted. I couldn't hear anything. And when I finally came to, I simply said, take me to the ATM machine. That was back in 1989, and you could only get $300 a day out. And that was the beginning of understanding what compulsion and obsession was. That one moment felt incredible. And in the beginning, it was cool, because you put some, everybody do, hey, I still got one, hey, okay. It was no pettiness, no fight. You sitting there talking and, Jackson Jackson running. It was fun. And then the euphoria began to wear off. And the reality came when you told me on Tuesday, okay, baby, we can ready to go to church. And I remember the ice cream truck, and I pulled out my money, and I said, church is canceled. Come on, what you want, babe? What you want? And when I started seeing some things I didn't like, and you told me never to go down the street on my own, and I went down the street on my own, was asking to get some 35s, I didn't know that you were selling me nipples and telling me they were 35. I didn't know there was no such thing as a 35. But I'm asking people, you got 35? I'm trying to buy some 35. And I learned I couldn't do it, so then I had to come to believe that if I found the right person, you were going to get me something. If I put $100, I came to believe that I would get something. And if it didn't work with you, I had a coin, so I could pay you $100. I just kept doing it until I found the person who would work. What I could never understand is how I could spend $6,000 with a person over the course of 2 days and you run off with $30. I mean, you see how much money I got, and I was thinking there was something wrong with you. Bitch, I kept spending money. There was something wrong with that. But it was my thinking. So, this part of the story I'm not going to go into because you know what happens. You know, once you open that door, it was just a bunch of bottoms. And for me, it was no one bottom. Because a motherfucker like me with a bright idea, as long as I kept having another thought, there was no surrender associated with the bottom. Because I had another bright idea. Okay, I can do it. Oh, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. You can get to a bottom like me, and I always tell people I woke up one day and I was in the gutter, and then I saw the steps. And that stairwell from the gutter led to a pit that led to a hole that led to a ditch that led to an endless well of hopelessness and despair. Because every gutter has a basement, and as long as you got a bright idea, you're not going to stop. When you hit that bottom, you'll get a shovel and you'll keep on going, and you'll experience new lows, and you'll find out more levels about yourself you didn't know exist when you are utterly desperate like I am. Now, what I thought was when someone intervened and I had a partial introduction to step one under you had the right to remain silent, and I thought that would be the end of my story. The problem is when a person like me goes over to DC jail and you tell somebody how many languages you speak and how many words you type a minute, and then when they were processing things, they sit up there and say, okay, you're doing that wrong. You got to Control F, and then you search for it, then you can go to that top thing and click it, and it will sort everything in the proper order. He said, you know how to work this system? I said, of course. Any fool knows how to do that. They popped my cell, put me in R&D, and I was there thinking I worked in the jail because I could do the court load every night. But what I didn't know is at 6 o'clock in the morning, there was no more donuts or coffee. You get your ass back up there, you were MA 2700678. But every night, I would get popped down and do the court load, and I thought I was somebody. But this is the hit. It came to be when I kept getting stepped back. I was like, oh, come on here, take me back down. Like I had a job. That cycle repeated itself with Arlington County. It repeated itself with Fairfax County. It repeated itself. And eventually, what happened is I just never thought there would be a day or circumstance or means or way that I would ever change. Part of the reason is that if you don't accept yourself and you don't accept the truth and you keep living in the fantasy, it's going to be hard for you to surrender and be honest and do the things this program suggests that you do. I do want to talk about the recovery aspect, so I'm going to move a little bit forward in my story. When I actually got to the point where I wanted to do something different and the drugs weren't working anymore, it happened when I was living in an abandonment, and I justified it because the girl was paying me $50 a month in crack to take care of her 6 kids while she and her husband sold drugs, and I thought I was no fair, and I made the kids learn, the Bill of Rights, and I made them learn, timetables. We would do homework sessions. I would walk them to school. I would make them lunch, and their father was just a little bit pettier crack smoker than I was. He was that person who, if I'm not giving him some or sharing some, he would wait until your company was good and ready, and one day he went all the way to the roof with his son's bike, and he dropped that bicycle, and I lived in a basement apartment. That motherfucker grabbed all his crack and ran out of there, and I said, you's the petty motherfucker. He would cut the lights, take the bulbs out and smash them, cut the power to the house while you're smoking, just all kind of crazy shit. And I went to a Friday night meeting with a bunch of crack in my hand, and I said, I have all of this shit, and I can't enjoy it because that motherfucker won't let me smoke in peace. And they told me to keep coming back. And someone shared with me that you would not have brought crack into an NA meeting unless you wanted some help. And this is your way of asking for help. So why don't you go ahead and share this meeting? We have a service position for you. I didn't want to get in service without at least trying to connect with my sponsor, and I called my sponsor, who I had not used before, and I said, they want me to take over a service position, I'm just coming back. He asked me, how much clean time do you have? And this was my step one. This was my surrender, because I was the addict who would smoke crack outside, come sit in here when y'all start doing the countdown. I said, well, I'm coming up on a year. I just would not leave out the detail in 365 days it would be a year. But when he asked me how much clean time I have, I said, if I don't smoke the crack that I have, tomorrow I'll have 24 hours. And he said, well, then don't smoke the crack. And that was the beginning of my journey. What I have learned in this process, step one for me, I couldn't just take it at face value about not using. Whenever I got locked up, I didn't use. Whenever I went to treatment, I didn't use. The problem was I was smarter than the person in treatment who was trying to run the groups. So I said, I understand the principle you're trying to say. You're yelling at me. You're telling me I'm shit because you think it's going to break me. And he's like, why don't you just shut the fuck up and let me lead the group? There was one time I had to tell you, Betty, this girl named Betty, was in the group. She was my orientator up in New York. She was the one who taught me the ropes. And we went on a skating trip in the Bronx, and Betty got caught sucking somebody's dick, and they were going to throw out the group. And they wanted us to talk to Betty. And I'm saying, Betty, you know, you can't do this, Betty. You got to hang there, and we're supposed to help each other. And he said, what the fuck is you doing? I said, I'm trying to help Betty. He said, that's my job, motherfucker. He said, you know why Betty is leaving? Because Betty can't stop sucking dick. You want to help Betty? You won't tell her how to stop sucking dick, or have you learn how? I was like, oh my God, how dare you? How dare you? And I ran out of the meeting, all kind of crazy shit. I was going to sue the health department and all this crazy shit because he made me feel something. And I thought he didn't like me. When I asked him, why don't you like me? He said, motherfucker, I don't give a damn about you. Why don't you like you? Fuck you worried about what I like you. I couldn't understand. I said, these people just can't take me. That was the way I had to rationalize the most insane nonsense. So it made sense to me, y'all just can't take me. What my sponsor told me is that step one, you need to surrender your thinking, Daryl. He said, you need to stop thinking. And I said to my sponsor, I said, you know, I was not the beautiful one. I was not the funny one. I said, I wasn't the one everybody wanted to hang with. People wanted to hang with me because I had money and that was it, or they wanted something from me. I said, the only gift that God gave me that ever made me special was my intelligence, and I'll be damned if I'm going to give that up. But what he made me realize is that my first thought, I said, the last time you went to jail, who did you go to jail with? I mean, what did you do? I said, I thought you thought. I said, the last time you got to have it happen, well, I just want to get one. I just left work to go get one. You thought you could do one. And he showed me that everything that happened to me in my life, and it ain't got nothing to do with a 3.75 average, ain't got nothing to do with 580 kappa, it's not nothing to do with my intelligence. Every thought I had gave me different numbers and different jails and different situations and psych wards, and it brought me pain from the ice cream truck to post-college, my thinking. Yeah. So I took a chance, and I surrendered my thinking, and that brought this void. What do I do now if I can't think of it? I don't have the answer for cancer. What is a person like me, who's always been the smartest one in the room, what am I supposed to do? And that's when he told me, step two, for people who are so intelligent that they're never going to recognize insanity, he said, this is simply a feedback study. He said, go to meetings and just share what you think, and just come tell me what they said. So I came to the meeting. I said, you know, my mother crazy. You know, I got 6 weeks clean, and that bitch keep grabbing her purse like I'm gonna take something. I said, bitch, I'm clean. She crazy. So I said, sponsor, I told those motherfuckers she keep grabbing her purse, and she's crazy. And he said, what did they tell you? Well, the guy asked me, he said, well, how is it your mother's crazy but you take psychotropic medication? And I said, the motherfuckers trying to come for me. I was sharing in a meeting. It was funny that somebody was talking. I was sharing in a meeting. I had about 6 months clean. I was sharing my experience, strength, and hope. And there was a girl. She was in the second row corner chair. She had on, and I should stop saying the girl from Baltimore. I say in my story she was from Baltimore, but let me preface this. You know, she had on red, about 5 different shades of red, and none of them matched. So I assumed she was from Baltimore. Now, she was looking at me, and while I was sharing, I got a feeling, because she was looking at me. And I was like, what the fuck? The bitch got a problem with this. She don't like the way I'm talking. Now, what I'm talking about is while I am simultaneously sharing my experience, strength, and hope, and telling y'all some shit, that bitch was living rent-free in my head, and I said, you know what? I played treatment very well. I came through Project Return in the Bronx. I know how to flip shit. I know how to throw boomerangs and curveballs. I know how to crosstalk. So I made a conscious decision. I was going to close so this bitch could see what she had to say. It was so fucking important that she had to look at me like that. And when the secretary's report came, she pulled out her cane, did like this, and they helped her up to get some coffee. And I realized that she was blind and she could not see me at all. And that's the night that I went home and I called my sponsor and said, there's something wrong with me. Because I character assassinated a blind girl in the meeting because she looked at me. What happened at this point is he said it's time to move on. And for a person like me, now I'm going to say I've read Step 3 in our literature and different versions of our literature. I've looked at it in other fellowships literature. I've listened to people share immensely about their spiritual experience and their conflict with God understanding. And I just have to say, for me, I was always very clear on who God was. I grew up in a Southern Baptist church. When those motherfuckers tried to hit me with Deuteronomy, I was smarter than the pastor. That's not what it says. God doesn't mean what God said. You couldn't tell me God didn't love me. I was clear on that. What I wasn't clear on is how to turn anything over when you're the smartest person. Who are you going to help me? But where did you get your degree from? And I could not understand that, but what I came to understand was through my defiance, when I have to check my thinking, then I would say, okay, since you're so goddamn smart, tell me what am I supposed to do when every time I go in that bitch house, she grab her purse? I don't like the way that makes me feel. And you simply say, well, baby, why don't you stop going over this so much? Okay. Okay. For a job and I've got all these degrees and I'm smart. I keep trying to tell these motherfuckers all I can do and they never call me back. So what the fuck am I supposed to do? And you say, well, when you go on a job and you want to shut up and let them ask the questions. When you talk about some good orderly direction, it ain't got to be no Bible verse. It ain't got to be some it is something as simple as if my disease is my thinking. And every time I used, I had trouble, I got fucked up emotionally, it was because of my thinking, then the solution has one common denominator. It can't come from my thinking. So when I asked you for your experience, strength, and hope, you were giving an example of somebody who's gone through something clean, and it wasn't my thinking. So I had the option of choosing to make a decision to do it your way or to do what I always do. And you know what I do. I go to the ice cream truck and I make a decision. I say, fuck all of y'all people. And I act like it doesn't bother me. And then I wonder why nobody likes me. So I can self-destruct off my own thinking and my own emotions. But 3 gives me the option to make a decision to do something different. But if I don't ask, I'll never get that help. I need to tell you the interesting thing that happened to me in 4. This was life moving. I spent a lot of time and looking at what you did and what they did and what they did, and I had this part that my sponsor asked me on the molestation part. He said, you know, I know your parents and all the shit they've gone through with you in the 27 years that you were using, and I find it hard to believe this part you wrote. So he says, you know, what makes you think your parents didn't protect us? What a bitch did! Let that man do. So he says, well, how do you know? I said, because I screamed and they didn't come in the room. He said, well, you remember screaming. I said, well, of course I screamed. I was 3 years old. He said, but you remember physically screaming. I don't remember how I screamed or what I said, but I know I had to have screamed. He said, well, what would happen if you didn't scream? I said, well, then that means that they really didn't know. So what would happen if they didn't know? Then I said, well, then every goddamn thing I've done my entire life has been based on that false memory, which I never considered. I never considered that my thoughts would betray me or that, and I didn't realize till I read that book with the Supreme. Diana Ross clearly has her memory, but ask Mary Wilson. They both did the same story, but they got 2 different memories. So I realized my memories ain't necessarily the truth or the fact. They're just tainted with the way I recall things, and from my using and all my other decisions, my thinking is fucked up. So the possibility that my mother been telling the truth all those years never occurred to me, which means everything I did in my defiance, even going to jail, I was, well, bitch, you did it first. You let that motherfucker do that to me. Blaming somebody else for something that was not their fault. Shit happens when you're 3. But at 40, when you're still cursing your mother out for what she didn't do at 3, that's the shit I did, not what she did. I lived with it every day and blamed someone else for it. That was mine. And I came to make some realizations in 4 that I had to make some changes. And that came through my 4 or 5 experience, because when I shared what I wrote, then he gave me a different perspective in 5, and then that's when I shut down. Come on, bitch, I don't want to talk to you. Are you a psychiatrist? Do you have the authority to look at my life and make these decisions? And that was when he started working on, baby, let me give you your character defects now. Because I thought I had dealt with it in surrendering. I thought I had dealt with it in number 2. But how can you deal with a character defect when you haven't shared the exact nature of it, because you weren't honest enough to write about it, because you never turned it over, because you still held on a little bit of your intelligence that you weren't willing to surrender? How can you get help with some shit when it started 5 steps earlier? And this shit comes back to haunt you in various ways. Our common welfare must come first. The things that you all have experienced in this fellowship have prepared me. What I like to talk about is I come to realize that drinking and drugging ain't my today's story. That's not what's going to happen to me. But if I don't share how you feel, let a 6'2" Negro walk through this place bow-legged just coming home from jail. And I'm going to give him my number to make sure he can get some help. Let me tell you how my addiction clearly speaks to me. Last night when I got up and cut up some cheese and a slice of cake, and that wasn't enough, so I put some peaches in the blender and stirred it up, and then called myself taking a shot of insulin before I ate all of that, just to make sure it's okay. But then I would come here and have a cup of coffee, and he said, 2 sugars, 2 creams, but I didn't tell y'all I'm a diabetic with no insulin today. That's how my addiction will speak to me. Let me tell y'all don't know because this is a different setting. Let me tell you what it means to chase the 70 bucks up Georgia Avenue on a rainy day when those motherfuckers are getting ready to get on the bus. They ain't got time to be cute. Baby, you going uptown? And get mad because every time God lets the bus cut me off in the red light. And I got to chase the bus all the way to Silver Spring, trying to get to the man at the bus stop who's desperate for a ride in the rain. Because my story tells me that if I find somebody a little bit more desperate than I am, I can make myself feel a little bit better about myself. The only time the thoughts of drugs come to me is if I get a feeling and see a motherfucker, what's up, man, get the fuck on. And I said, I bet if I go get an 8-ball, that bitch won't be so, I won't be quick with the drugs. I still know where to get it. I can wave it in front of you if it's going to make you do what I want you to do. But that shit, Daryl, you think it didn't work in the ice cream truck, you ate all the goddamn bubble inches, ain't give me none. So I already have the evidence that it won't work. And that's what I'm talking about, the therapeutic value of one addict helping another. That's what Tradition 1 is about, because you all have gone through some experiences and feel safe in an NA meeting to share what you went through. When the shit starts happening to me and I hear the patterns, be careful what you ask for. You see they're going on and on and on and on about that motherfucker, you done this, you done that, you done that, and all I say, damn, he's cute, maybe I need it. I could change him. No, not hearing somebody's pain, not identifying with somebody's story, and then wondering how the hell do you get that stupid look on your face. There's a look. For those of you who ever smoke crack, there is a look that happens when there is no more. You can't fix it with makeup. I try putting on foundation and washing and sleeping, and that look is stupid. It's still stuck on your face, and anybody can look at it and tell what the fuck you've done. I haven't seen that look in over 6 years. So what I'm talking about is making some other decisions. I need to get to the meat, the tee of this tape. Your experience, your strength, and your hope. What happened to me after I moved my seat out the back and stopped laughing at y'all motherfucking stories? I was telling this story on the way up here. A year and a half into getting clean, the law firm I work with said they don't need my services anymore. Not because I didn't come to work and was smoking or late. I was clean. They just didn't need my services. Well, how dare you? Do you know who I am? And all y'all good talking motherfuckers who are unemployed, talking about all y'all degrees, and I laughed at. I had to try to remember them. Where did you go to get unemployment? Now, what do you do to get assistance with your Pepco bill? I had to remember the information that I thought was beneath me because I was a little bit better than. I wasn't better off. I thought I was better than until they fired my black ass. And I had my own experience with going to unemployment and trying to make it. Was so smart at my 2nd anniversary. I remember sharing how embarrassing it was at 40-something years old to still be dependent on my parents, as intelligent as I was, and how that hurt to say publicly. And 2 people came up to me after that meeting, and one girl said, well, I can hire you as a concierge in one of our buildings. It doesn't pay anything. I said, bitch, I ain't making nothing. And the other person said, well, there's a job at this organization that helps homeless people. It's only 1 day a week, but you're at the front desk. I said, well, I got 1 day a week. And what I want to tell you is I'm still in that job, but I'm not at the front desk. I'm the senior director of emergency services for that job. And it was only through sharing my fear about being unemployed and my embarrassment about being so much better than people, but to tell them you couldn't even get a minimum wage. Went into McDonald's and lied, and they still said I couldn't have a job. Because of course I went in there with my suit and my resume. I didn't know when you go on McDonald's, you go in there with a pair of jeans and say I want to work. But I was trying to impress somebody and couldn't even get hired at McDonald's, but I associated that with my self-worth. What I needed to tell you all about is the people I made fun of who were using in recovery. It was funny for you, but 10 months into my process, I had a stroke. The next year, I had diagnosed with diabetes. The third year, I was told that I had stage 3 cancer and had to start radiation and chemotherapy immediately. The fourth year, I'll get back to the fourth year. The fifth year, I had my first heart attack. Last year, I had 2 more heart attacks. What I want to share with you all is, before I came back in this time, my sponsor's a cancer survivor. My sponsor brother's a double cancer survivor. So there were people God had placed in my life who had already walked through cancer clean and were able to tell me, erase the fears, walk me to my oncologist and share their experiences with me. And now today I'm blessed to have a sponsor who's going through cancer, and I can give him the same thing that was really given to me, because God loved me enough before he told me I had cancer. He'd already put cancer survivors in my life clean. So that would be an excuse for me to have to do anything. What I do need to share about my cancer story is you got to watch the information you share in Narcotics Anonymous. Somebody in the meeting told me that if I were to take the Oxycontin as prescribed, then I was giving up my clean day. So I was going through radiation and chemo, and I was in a lot of pain. And I went to my doctor and said, I've got to stop radiation. He said, Mr. Wright, you have an aggressive cancer. You stop radiation, radiation expedites the cells. It's going to mean the cancer you're growing. You can't stop. Why are you stopping? I'm in too much pain. He said, Mr. Wright, is you know how much Oxycontin you're taking? I said, oh, you know what? I'm not taking the Oxycontin because I'm an addict. And he said, well, who told you that? Your oncologist? I said, well, no. He said, your radiologist? I said, no. He said, your cardiologist? I said, well, no. I said, I was at the meeting, and the lady, this was a meeting with your doctor? And I said, no. I said, whoa. I said, well, I was at a narcotic. He said, Mr. Wright, I thought you said you were educated. Right. And I said, well, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? He said, you have congestive heart failure. You're going through radiation and chemotherapy, and you're choosing not to take the medication that can put you in such pain that it can trigger cardiac arrest, which means you would have to stop your treatment, which means your cancer would grow, because a lady at the meeting, did she have cancer? And that's why I don't know. But you know, this is the hit. What she said was, take your medicine as prescribed. But when you're sitting in the back laughing at the bitch taking a Percocet and saying she's not high, I didn't hear what she said. My thinking said the bitch told me not to take my medicine. There came a point in my story, and this brings me to the Pennsylvania part of my story. There came a point in my story where my mother kept asking me the same goddamn question over and over again. She would stop the car in the middle of 95 and say, now, which way do I go to get home? And I'm looking at the cars going by. I'm like, what are you doing? She would say, do I go this way or that way? Mom, you go the same way you always go. I would yell, I would get mad, I would come to the meetings, and I would get frustrated. And when people would tell me, but one day your mother's going to die, I said, oh, bitch, don't hand me that shit, because my mother's not dead. What I'm talking about is a woman that's looking at me with blank eyes and don't know who the fuck I am. So I'm not interested in your mother's death. I'm talking about my mother's alive and doesn't know who the fuck I am. The light was leaving. And I did not know what to do. So I got angry, but my anger triggered her emotions, so she would want to hug me and be touchy-feely. I can't hug someone who can't even remember who I am. I did my 4th step, and I felt I just need to tell my mother a piece about the molestation and that I'm sorry that I yelled at you and blamed you. And she was smiling, and I was sharing some shit, and I'm sorry I did this, and I'm sorry I did that. And in the middle of my sharing, she said, baby, I don't know what you're saying. I'm just so glad to see you. And I was robbed of my moment to make amends, because the Alzheimer's took away the memory of all the shit I did to her. And my sponsor said that your step is not about hearing your mother say, I forgive you. It's for you to have a clean conscience, to be prepared to do the shit that God needs you to do. That's why you didn't get clean in 1990, because God needs you to do something in 2015. So I shared with people my process, my frustration, my resentment with my father and sister sitting there talking and laughing and giggling, and my mother staring there, the shadow of the woman she was. She was the woman who taught me how to appreciate literature. She was the one who taught me how to pronunciate and enunciate. Everything that happened easily in me, because my presentation was my mother's effect. And God took the things she did better than anybody away from her, her ability to communicate. And I was angry. I did not understand that she could not help the things that she did. And I was not very forgiving. So I would go in the meeting and say, what the fuck do I do? She keeps saying the same shit over and over again. She asked me the same question. You said answer the same question over and over again. You told me to go in her doctor's office with her and tell the doctor what was going on. You told me to be the same support to her that she was to me, walking through crack houses, giving people $100, showing them my picture. If you see them, just tell them I'm looking for them. Now it was my turn to walk her through a process that she couldn't handle on her own. My father was in denial. He was married 57 years to this woman. He was undergoing dialysis. His health was failing him, and he thought he could do it on his own. And I wasn't satisfied with that. I said that I had to make a decision to move back in. I fought it as long as possible, but one night my mother failed, and my father called me at 2 o'clock in the morning and said, I can't get your mother off the bathroom floor. So I went home, and I sat down on the bathroom floor with her, and I stared at her, and I realized she didn't know where she was. She had a look on her face like she was just sitting on a park bench, and she was just sitting on the bathroom floor. And I picked her up, and I tucked her in the bed, and made sure she wouldn't fall out. And she said, I don't know what I would do without you. And I made the decision that I had to move back home. The next day, I said goodbye to my mother. Well, I was coming up to Allentown to speak at the convention at Holiday Inn on a Friday night. Before I went on, I got a phone call that my mother stopped breathing, and I had to go on, and I shared. My topic was love and lust, and I was talking about the fucking and the sucking and the low self-esteem and how my addiction took me to BS, the bookstores and bathroom stalls and bushes and shrubs and bar stools. And in the middle of my sharing, I had to tell you all the love side of it is that when somebody you love is in the process of transition and you are powerless, it doesn't feel good. I tried to get information. I was traveling with one of my good friends, and she had to speak the next day, so I couldn't go home. And kept calling the hospital, and my sister told me that my mother's condition was getting worse, and my father had given a do not resuscitate order, and I tried to call the police and have them arrested. I could not understand why they are trying to kill my mother. I could not understand it. My friend finished sharing the next day. We got on the road. Oh God, the rain came, and it took me like 5 hours to get back to DC. I got to the hospital and visiting hours were over with, so I went home. And this was that moment that they tell you, my sponsor had talked to me, my friends had talked to me, there was nothing I could do. And there comes that time when the only thing between you and your fucking sanity is having a godly understanding. So I prayed, and I prayed, and I prayed. And in the morning, I was woken up by my sister, who called and said, the hospital said, you need to come and say goodbye, that she's not going to live through the day. And I got in the car, and I called my sponsor. I got to the doctor's hospital at 7:12, and my mother passed away at 7:02. And my father said, oh, she's gone. And I was like, no, she's right here. Mommy, please, Mommy. I'm sorry, Mommy. I'm sorry. My father was talking to my sister, and he said that the night before, my mother came up to she walked up the steps in her wedding gown, and he knew something was wrong. And my sister said she was doing some work, and my mother came into her room and sat down and started talking to her. And at that moment, standing over my mother's dead body, I looked at anything I could find in the room, because I said, these motherfuckers are standing here trying to tell me that my mother didn't love me, because she didn't come. She didn't come. She didn't come to me like she came to them. And my sponsor came into the room, and he said, Daryl, last night when you got the call, where were you? I said, I was in Allentown sharing.
He said, if you were sharing and you talked about your mother was with you. At the time she passed, she was with me. And I didn't want to give them the right to grieve or to hurt or to love. My sister lost a mother. My father lost his wife. And at that moment, I was going to jail clean because I was going to kill a motherfucker because they took something from me. Because my thinking said, this was the only person. I don't have a significant other. I don't have children. This was the only person who was going to love me the way she loved me. She was good. And what I want you to know is there are 4 people very close to me in my network who lost mothers 2 to 3 years before my mother passed. What that taught me in my step work is God was preparing for me before I knew what Alzheimer's and dementia was to be a support system to show that I could get through anything clean. The night my mother died, I went to a meeting. The day my mother was buried, I led a meeting. I shared with people where I was because I want people to realize that I'm not the only person that this shit happens to. The only thing Narcotics Anonymous promises you is freedom from active addiction. It says, our promise is that an addict, any addict, can stop, lose the desire, and find a new way to live. It doesn't say your motherfucking mother won't die. It doesn't say, Daryl, you won't get cancer, or they'll fire your ass because you think you're too damn smart. It doesn't promise us that we will live well and that people will ever forgive us when you say you're sorry. It promises us that we can find a new way to live, and the new way to live is to go through life on life's terms without using, without being destructive, without taking a hostage, without fucking and sucking and gambling, doing all those other detrimental things that you can put behind whatever your addiction is or how it chooses to manifest itself when you ain't feeling right. But what I've come to realize is that anybody can go through anything because there is nothing unique in this fellowship. If you are someone going through something right now, I swear to God, I wish this was a speaker's jam so I could just prove my point and open up the meeting so you can share what the fuck it is and watch there's somebody sitting right here who's been through it who can give you a solution. Don't make my mistake and sit in the back room and poke holes and judge. Everything that somebody shares, their experience, their strength, their hope, their frustration, their fear, their disgust, their failure, and let me tell you this, the motherfucker who's up here telling you a goddamn lie. God loves you so much he can let a liar save your life. And if you don't believe me, you can share with someone after the meeting what you're going through and watch the spiritual connection take place. Because in Tradition 1, we create safe spaces for people to come in here and tell the truth. So when it's your turn, one of you out there will have what you need to make it through a day clean. My name is Daryl.
Now I call Richard. Let's give our speaker another round of applause, please. The dance is getting ready to start. If you could clear the floor so we can get these chairs and stuff up.